alumni that recently attended the second Regional Gender Equality, Disability and Social Inclusion Alumni Leadership Summit, hosted by Australia Awards Philippines in Manila. The Australian Government is committed to furthering gender equality, disability and social inclusion through its development program, including through Australia Awards. This commitment is made more urgent by the increasing severity of natural and human-caused disasters, which disproportionately affect groups such as women, people with disability, Indigenous peoples, and children. Further, Southeast Asia and Oceania, including the Pacific, are among the most exposed regions to disasters. The theme of the summit was centered around GEDSI leniency, a collaborative journey towards inclusive climate action, placing focus on the critical intersections of gender equality, disability, and social inclusion, with climate change, disaster risk reduction, and economic security. Some of the aims of the summit included to strengthen linkages and networking among regional alumni, share experiences, and learn from inclusive and resilient good practices and challenges, and work together to craft inclusive and resilient development solutions for communities. The summit included a series of talks, panel discussions, and workshop sessions around the theme, and source speakers, including Australia Awards alumni from various countries, as well as industry experts, provide a diverse range of perspectives on a variety of topics that were covered. It also included interactive learning excursions to partner organisations and alumni-led programs supporting GEDSI and community resilience that alumni had the opportunity to take part in, and a cultural night where alumni were able to showcase the uniqueness of their respective cultures through different types of performances. So now to introduce you to our panelists and fellow alumni, we have Justine Pecune, who graduated with a Master of Finance from the University of Technology, Sydney, and is a finance manager at Titan FX. We have Jermaine Ludvon, who graduated with a Bachelor of Science, Management and Public Admin and Information Sessions from the University of the South Pacific, Lukulas campus in Fiji. Jermaine is a Secretary General for the Malumpa Provincial Government Council. Sylvia Boson graduated with a Bachelor of Education, Special and Inclusive Education, from the University of the South Pacific, Lukulas campus in Fiji, and is the Inclusion Coordinator, National Education Program, acting with the Ministry of Education and Training. We have Cheryl Ulufia, who graduated with a Bachelor of Geography and Public Management from the University of the South Pacific, Lukulas campus, Fiji, and is the Area Program Manager and Country Manager for Vanuatu for the United Nations Development Program. And we also have Janila Cici, our very own Australia Awards alumni and promotions officer. So welcome to you all. Thank you for attending today. What we'll be doing today is addressing a series of questions to our alumni, and they'll be given the opportunity to provide us with their key takeaways and highlights of the summit, and how they intend to implement some of these key takeaways into practice within Vanuatu. So, to provide some context regarding our first question, addressed to Justine and Jermaine, visual summaries including comics, animated live illustrations, doodles, and infographics were used to capture the essence of daily summit activities and highlight the most important messages and insights in a visually engaging format. So with this in mind, Justine and Jermaine, what were the most important messages and insights capturing the essence of daily summit activities through the visual summaries that were created?
Thank you, Sarah. Good morning, everyone. First of all, thank you, Australia Awards Vanuatu, for the opportunity to attend the GEDSI Alumni Leadership Summit in the Philippines. For me personally, I found the event very inspiring and filled with passionate individuals dedicated to community service. We also witnessed innovative ideas and learned a lot from the discussions and experiences shared, all with the main purpose of making a difference in the community. So thank you to MAS Australia Awards Vanuatu. The knowledge sharing sessions we attended provided valuable insights into how gender equality, disability, and social inclusion can be better integrated into climate resilience efforts. So I'm pleased to share some of the key messages from the summit, which are empowering marginalized groups and building resilient leaders. So a major theme was the importance of empowering marginalized groups through collaboration. So Lucia Palulungan emphasized our local leadership, particularly among women and people with disabilities, can help communities build resilience, especially in disaster-prone areas. Working closely with local governments allows these groups to access resources that and advocate for their needs. And Dr. Anne Nguyen discussed how resilience in education and leadership, especially for women, is key. She highlighted how we need to create environments where people can learn and adapt, helping them become more resilient to climate challenges. And just to finish, I would like to just say that the biggest takeaway from the summit was the need for collaboration. We cannot achieve inclusive climate action without working together, and that includes governments, communities, businesses, and organizations. We all must play a role, and our goal altogether is to ensure that no one is left behind as we tackle the challenges of climate change. So thank you, Sarah, and that will be all for me.
Thank you, Justine, and some great insights and takeaways there on your behalf. Jermaine, over to you.
Thank you to Adon. Firstly, I would like to thank the Australian government and the Australian Award to make this trip possible. For me, I was so thrilled to be part of this GEDSI Summit, which took place in the Philippines. It was an opener for me to learn about the inclusion and how to address it in my current job. I'll just go through few points which I have taken during the second day of the summit. I was able to attend a disability presentation during which a someone with vision impairment presented on how we use technology to assist him in his work and in what he does every day, but specifically with uses different apps that help him during his life of every day. And one app specifically is the cash reader app, which help him identify the coins, the money that used. And one point which I have taken from that presentation was that anyone can become disabled, and so we should care. That is one of the main point I took from that presentation. And then the second presentation I attended was the 2KK. 2KK stands for Tulong sa Kapwa Kapatid. It's a volunteer organization. It's also a charitable organization that was founded in 2003 after a landslide that took place in Metro Manila. There were people who organized themselves to help the poor people who are living around that dump site. And they came up with different activities to help assist the children, activities like playing, singing, and also they support them in providing some tutorial program, and also they help introducing a school there. That charitable organization also help them with the youths, and it also help provide scholarships in the community. There are about 40 communities there, more than 100 plus children who live in those communities. And one of the takeaway which I specifically take from that presentation was do small things with great love. That was a statement made by Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa was a role model for the 2KK. And so in the 2KK, they have different values which they are teaching, and they are impact to the youth and to the children, and also to the mothers who are part of in those for the communities there. And the final presentation which I was part of was fostering opportunities and roles of women in agriculture. And one of the key takeaways I took was every time you plant something, it contributes to national economy. And finally, just to add on, there was a term used during the summit. The term is world changer. We Australian alumni are world changer, and wherever you are, in whatever field of work or whatever position you are actually occupying, I think we should be acting like world changers, bringing change to our workplace, to the communities, and make sure that it has positive impact and lasting impact on the people we serve. I think basically that is what I want to share. Thank you.
Thank you, Jermaine. And I think just to kind of summarize what you've mentioned there, kind of two key highlights or takeaways that I draw from what you've mentioned is that idea is that many hands make light work. So that concept of collaboration and working together, and particularly around the 2KK, is that idea too of that it takes a village to raise a child, which I think is probably quite relevant within Vanuatu. So I can see how that's been, that concept is also very prominent within 2KK, and it takes many people to make a change happen. Thank you, Jermaine. Okay, next we have Cheryl. So Cheryl, what were some of the key highlights or takeaways from any of the interactive learning excursions that you attended?
Okay, thank you again, Sarah. I join my fellow alumni to also thank the Australia Awards Vanuatu as well as the Australian government for this wonderful opportunity. I am very honored to be part of this amazing experience, given that it is just the second GEDSI Summit to be hosted. So I have attended knowledge session. It was around inclusive disaster risk reduction and resilience. One of the key takeouts that I took from the speaker, Dr. Emily Eustingrom, was to be more proactive in disaster preparedness, also to address the vulnerability both before and after disasters. Sometimes we focus on the before that, after we tend to forget. So it is very important to also address that post-disaster. And also to remember the vulnerability sectors during planning or designing of any projects. I understand that most of the organizations and government that we have included that during the planning phase. So that's one thing that I picked out to encourage to continue to include the sectors during our planning phases. And also from the learning excursion that I attended, I was at the La Mesa Eco Park. It is a watershed protection conservation park of 33 hectares. And it is just within the main main city of Manila. The park offers a refreshing escape from the Metro Manila urban jungle. And it is a public park. The public park, is a haven for nature enthusiastic and boasting diverse flora and fauna. So beyond leisure, La Mesa Eco Park plays a vital role in in environmental education. Visitors can also participate in interactive programs and promote watershed protection and climate action. The park is continuously adding engaging attractions such as raising awareness and inspire visitors to become responsible stewards of the environment. And it's still under renovation at the moment, but they try to get the engagement of the public and young people to be more engagement and to be more responsible for the nature. So finally, before I finish, I just want to add on that it is very important to hear everyone's voices and most importantly, to have a GEDSI lens at the start when designing any project or activities to ensure that everyone can participate fully and equally. Thank you, Sarah. Over to you.
Thank you. And some other great takeaways there as well, particularly around the idea of being proactive and forward thinking and forward planning for post disasters and that kind of thing, not just in the early onsets, but also what we do after the fact and what we continue to implement as well. Okay, next we have Janilla. What were some of the key highlights or takeaways from any talks, panel discussions, or workshops that you attended during the summit?
Okay, thank you, Sarah. Let me just put up one picture. So as I'd like to join my other colleagues to just thank the Australia Awards Program and the Australia High Commission in Vanuatu for the opportunity that we have been given to attend this GEDSI Summit in Manila. The sessions and forum we participated in were truly insightful, and I believe we all gained so much valuable knowledge. One highlight for me was the learning excursion that to the place they call Tahanang Walang Hagdanan, which translates to Home Without Stairs. It's an incredible organization that provides shelter to people with disability, but what really impressed me was their commitment to creating job opportunities for their residents. The organization has partnered with some of the town stakeholders, including one of the biggest pharmacies in the Philippines, several kindergarten schools, and a well-known supermarket. It's very inspiring to see how they've developed a variety of roles that are accessible for people in wheelchair. For instance, they have a medication packaging room that can accommodate at least 50 people. It's fascinating how they can handle everything from tablet packaging to labeling and data entry and all the crucial steps before the medications are distributed. I'd like to also take note that the manager, the one who manages the whole center, is someone on wheelchair, and he is also one of the Australia Awards alumni. So adding on to the medication packages, they also manufacture learning materials for kindergartens and also shopping bags for the malls. It's very impressive on how they designed the compound into specific workplaces to be fully accessible and enabling them to produce thousands of bags each month. They focused on upskilling their workforce, which not only provides them with the regular pay, but also helps them to develop new skills and progress to higher job placements. They also consider all the challenges of transportation for individuals with limited mobility. I was also glad to learn that they offer dormitory accommodations on site. This kind of holistic approach really addresses the various barriers that people with disability faces. As I've mentioned earlier, this was one of the big highlights for me for attending this summit. But now shifting gears a bit, I have also taken some other takeaways for the overall sessions, and this was realizing the importance to share some advice with young leaders regarding gender equality, as previously mentioned by my colleagues, Justine, Sylvie, Cheryl, and Germain. We should also consider inclusive education, inclusive leadership, awareness, and also empowering women, supporting initiatives that women in local communities who are directly impacted by the climate change, rising level seas level, and changes in agriculture. And most importantly, as mentioned by Justin, the collaboration that we should have between local governments and NGOs to promote sustainable practices. I think that's all that I wanted to share. Thank you. Thank you, Sarah. Back to you.
Thank you, Janilla. And it's really interesting to hear about some of the different learning excursions that were available. They seem very varied in what they're trying to address through GEDSI, particularly, as you just mentioned there, with people with disabilities in wheelchairs, and that concept of having a work and kind of home space where the proximity makes it quite accessible for people. So it takes out some of those issues that may arise otherwise. Thank you, Janilla. Okay. And lastly, we have Sylvia. So Sylvia, one of the expected outputs from the summit was for regional alumni to create an action plan per country or according to groupings with similar areas of interest on inclusion and or climate action. So what did your action plan look like according to the region or groups that you were allocated? And can you tell us if it related to inclusion and or climate action?
Well, firstly, I would like to say a big thank you to MAS, the Australian government, and Australian Awards Alumni for this opportunity to be part of GEDSI Summit in Philippines. And at the end of the 2 days that we have, we all sat down together to make a plan. So this is our action plan I put together to present. So the project is to make sure we have this project is to carry it out, is to make sure that there is access to schools for children with disabilities. And our team that we set them together at the list that we have, Justin Bikion, Chairman, Cheryl, Shunila, and myself. The background and the issue to be focused on is inclusive education is a new concept in Vanuatu. Therefore, most schools in Port Philan abroad need access through human resource and accommodation and school facilities. Data from the Ministry of Education in 2023 shows that students identified in the schools in GEDSI and primary have hearing, vision, and movement, speech, and learning disabilities. Learning disabilities are the most common identified in our schools. Now, our concern is how can we assist to support, expand the work to support the right of a child, not only children with disability, but vulnerable children that have challenges to access in the school environment. Next. Issue to focus on is access to school for children with disabilities. We have school facilities, but not accessible to children with disabilities. No awareness enough for inclusive education in the schools, no inclusive education teachers in each schools. Most schools don't have screening for children with disabilities, no adaptive curriculum, no adaptive teaching and learning, no assistive devices, and mass increased enrollment for children with disability. Overall goal is access to school for children with disability, and our project proposed is access to school for children with disabilities through human resource accommodation facilities. And project purpose indicator verified is school will adopt inclusive practices. Our target area is Port Vila, Evate. Expected beneficiaries is children with disabilities. Expected stakeholders, we have Vanuatu Society of People with Disabilities, Beginning Playtime, Freshwater School, Ministry of Education and Training, Ministry of Health, and Ministry of Justice. Kiwanis, private sectors, and Australian Awards Vanuatu. Duration of the project, we would like to start in April 2025 to April 2026. Our output, school facilities to be accessible, activities, 1.1 is learn of which school has higher number of children with disability that have problem with accessible facilities through ramp and rail and even accessing toilet. 1.2, reasonable ramps. 1.3, work with stakeholders. In the other output, number 2, increase enrollment for children with disabilities. We have 2.1, activity 2.1, making sure there's awareness and promote the inclusive education policy, which will be launched at the end of this year to teachers and principals in the schools. 2.2, make awareness to parents and communities to promote and accept of children with disabilities inside the school or to the school. 2.3, negotiate with the stakeholders who work in the area of inclusive education. And lastly, output number 3, involve stakeholders in planning process and of addressing challenges to get their expertise. Activities 3.1, identify, plan, and conducting training. 3.2, ensuring delivery. And the 3.3, get the data. I think that's about it. Over to you. Thank you, Tomas.
Thank you, Sylvia, and quite a groundbreaking action plan, which I think, as you've addressed, is a very much needed area of an area that we really need to kind of address. And I think your particular experience and expertise within this area is a great kind of way for us to spearhead this and put an action into plan. So very much look forward to seeing how we can implement this and the journey moving forward. Okay, well, that brings us to the end of today's session. So with some valuable insights, obviously, as to how we can all, both as individuals, communities, and as a nation, continue to promote inclusion and diversity through the lens of gender equality, disability, and social inclusion. I think this is going to ensure that these voices are at the forefront of prominent issues such as climate change, disaster risk reduction, and economic security. And it's wonderful to see that through their education, training, and experience, Australia Awards alumni have been at the forefront of helping address GEDSI issues in the region. So with that being said, I would like to thank you all again for your time today, as well as your commitment to GEDSI and climate change action and your attendance at the GEDSI Summit itself. It was a wonderful experience, I'm sure, for all of you, and just hearing about your key takeaways has been really, really wonderful to hear. So thank you all again for today, and that brings us to the end of today's session.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.